One. All right. Well, hello, Jarett. Nice to meet you.
Hi,
How
nice
are
to
you
meet you.
today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am well also. Thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate you coming in on this Zoom call so we can discuss this job opportunity. Um, Let me start off. Let me just talk about this car company I work for and who I am. So my name's Brian Downey. I'm a manager for this car company. I work specifically in the design and release area. We do a lot of design on different components in the vehicle, mainly some restraints items, some seat items. I've been here at this car company for like 30 years now. So I do re I do have a staff of about 6 people working for me, all engineers, different experience levels. Also, I report to another senior manager, and then we report up to a director, and eventually that goes up to senior VP. Okay, so that's kind of the description of the myself and the car company. Let me hit on the actual job explanation. So you already saw like the job description, but let me go ahead and explain a little bit more about it. So this is a design release engineer. Basically, you work with other design engineers, you work with the CAD group. Um, you do a lot of design work. You also have to work with suppliers. You have to work with purchasing on cost items, and also with plant quality and other quality fields. That way, it's always a a job in motion. So you'll never actually be like just stuck on one job. You always have something going on. Um, this role is basically in the seat team. There's a lot of things with the seat team between the foam, the fabrics, the frame, human ergonomics. There's lots of things within the seat. Um, before I go on, do you have any initial questions?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, great. So then going on, so our facilities, we're in Farmington Hills. We have a nice facility up on 12 Mile in Haggerty Crossroads. So in there, we have basically all of our design, all of our testing for North America. We also have a field facility out in Arizona that does actual more vehicle testing. We also have our own safety crash lab, which we actually crash all of our vehicles there for regulatory items for the US and other markets. Let's see what else. Facility wise, there's about 1,000 plus people in the facilities.
Mm.
And then next thing, work hours. So work hours, we basically right now it's you normal 8 to 5, but with this job, it's a global company, so you'll be working maybe a little bit earlier, a little bit later. But the good news is you get time and a half pay for that. So I haven't seen like any weekend work ever, but there might be some travel. And with the travel, you might have to travel on weekends. So it's just the travel also fluctuates. It might be one time a year, it might be 4 times. Um, and I mentioned the overtime is about time and a half on weekdays. Talk about the cafeteria at the facility. So basically, we have a small cafeteria ever since COVID. It's reduced, but they do offer some food. Also, then moving from that on site. So we're on site approximately 3 days a week. Um, April 1st, we'll be going to mandatory 3 days a week, TBD on which 3 days a week. And it's going to be basically up to your functioning manager to decide like how often you really need to be on site. Um, because going back, we're a global company, we do have to have sometimes some evening meetings. So I'm a little bit flexible about being on site anyway. Okay. All
Okay.
right. So any questions about a lot of that stuff?
Um, so you mentioned the CAD. I didn't see what CAD program you guys use mostly. I
Oh yeah,
was
that's a good
wondering about
question.
that.
Yeah, so we use a version of NX. We have
Okay.
a team center that actually is our kind of our what we call it parts list manager, parts data manager, PDM. So
Yeah.
that's the team center that opens up the NX, which actually does the CAD software.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So if we move on, to let me try to find the share here, and I will share your resume and then we'll let you walk through it.
All right.
You can see.
Yep.
All right. So go ahead, give me some background.
All right. So I guess I'll start at the top. So graduated with my bachelor's degree from Eastern Michigan in 2023, so about a year and a half ago. I'm currently going for my master's. I'm hoping to finish by next spring. Um, right now, I'm working at AVL in Plymouth as an intern, mechanical engineering intern, working in the test systems engineering group. So I'm doing a lot of CAD work there, designing parts and assemblies and stuff for manufacturing. Um, Working on the different test equipment that we make, dynamometers and fuel testing equipment. So just gaining a lot of knowledge in that area. Uh, the year before that, I was working at Eastern Michigan with one of the professors there who runs the manufacturing lab, and they were starting an electric vehicles course.
Hmm.
So I was working on that, doing a bunch of CAD, designing for the parts they needed for the different labs. There was a bunch of different parts that were needed for like batteries to hold the batteries and different electrical equipment that we needed parts 3D printed for. So I was doing a lot of that, and then also using the CNC machine to make parts there too. So I've done a lot of design stuff the past couple of years, so I'm pretty comfortable doing that. I've worked in SolidWorks and
Hmm.
NX, Inventor, so I have a lot of experience in different CAD programs. Um, and yeah, outside of my experience, my other activities, I played uh, baseball in college all 4 years of
Hmm.
my undergraduate. So yeah, I feel like I have good time management
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
working with that,
Yeah.
and staying dedicated and stuff. Um, so yeah, I mean that's really like, and then I can go through my certifications too. So I passed the engineering and training exam, so certified for that, and then just a couple other stuff. I volunteered for the Miracle League baseball in my hometown, just helping little kids with disabilities and stuff.
Nice.
Um, in high school, I was the finishing second place for my county's Scholar Athlete of the Year award out of 18 schools in the county, and or no, not 18 school, 18 nominees for the
Hmm.
award, which were one from each school. So yeah, I finished in the top three there, and then I was also class president in high school. So
Nice. Well done. Very good. I got a couple questions. So you've been
yeah,
working at AVL in Plymouth, and if I remember correctly, you were talking about some meters that you were working on there?
dynamometers. It's
Dyno.
like
Okay,
the yeah, just to test the torque and stuff
gotcha. So
of the motors.
can you elaborate a little bit more on that? On what your
Um,
day-to-day activity would be like with that?
yeah, I mean, my day to day is I'm obviously not designing a dynamometer from scratch.
Hmm.
I'm mostly doing well, I guess the project I've been working on most recently is we have a product called the Fuel Exact, which measures fuel intake and stuff into
Hmm.
a system. So we had to take apart that since we're also a global company, we do stuff in Europe a lot. We're based out of
Hmm.
Europe, so um, a lot of the parts were had British parallel threads on it, and we needed it to be
Hmm.
NPT threads. So
Yeah.
switch converting all that because it's going to an American company. So we're doing that. That's one thing I've been working on, designing a cart for a piping system that's going into a calibration unit. Another thing I've been designing. So um, really just anything that the other engineers need help with, they can give me something. Um, that's kind of what I've been doing.
Nice. Sounds very complex on a lot of these items.
Uh, not really. It sounds complex, but once you look at it, it's not too bad.
Gotcha. Maybe with your experience, you don't feel it's complex, at least for now,
Yeah, I
right?
guess.
Sure, sure. And then, can you give me a little bit more on I'm interested on how uh the CAM portion back
Hmm.
in your Eastern days. Can you give me
Yeah.
a little bit more elaboration on that?
Yeah. Just like a couple examples or
Sure, whatever you get her to.
so I mean the CAM is just you can take a CAD file, an inventor, they have a CAM built right into a CAM program right built right into the CAD program, Inventor 3D or whatever it's called. So
Hmm.
um you take the CAD file, you take it over to the CAM and you can make a machining process
Hmm.
right on the computer. You put it on a flash drive, take it over to your CNC machine, and then input input it into the machine, and it'll run your whole machining process for you. So
Nice.
it's really nice, and it's you have a lot of parts that you need manufactured quickly. It saves a lot of time if you can just make one machining process
Hmm.
and then run it for however many parts you need. So we were doing a lot of duplicated parts, like
Hmm.
20 or 30 parts sometimes. So we were able to save a lot of time using that.
Nice. Nice. Interesting. All right. Got a little bit extra questions for you at this point. So let me understand. So maybe could you describe a situation where you were responsible for helping out a group of people to maybe understand a new way of thinking about a problem? And what did you do to help out with that situation?
Hmm. Um, I don't know if it's a group of people, but at my job at Eastern last year, uh, so there was a problem we had with a new building being built
Hmm.
was getting these light panels put in that were from an old building, and the part that connected the lights together wasn't
Hmm.
made by the company anymore. It was like a plastic part, had like a unique geometry to it, so we weren't able to find a replacement. So we were going to 3D print them, but we were having trouble getting the fit right with the 3D printed part.
Hmm.
So just I had seen this done in my one class where you could take a photo of a part or whatever. You could take a photo of something and then scale it in the CAD program, and then you could just like trace the outline of it.
Hmm.
And we were able to use that to 3D print the part we needed, and it fit perfectly to the light panel. So I guess that was one way I solved the problem.
Nice. Well done. That's a good story. I appreciate that.
You know,
That's awesome. And then how many of those did you actually end up creating?
well, we printed when I was there. I don't know. I think the project has continued since I left of
Mhm.
that. So I don't know how many they ended up printing, but when I was there, we had probably 10 to 15 printed at
Mhm.
that point.
That's interesting. And these were for
Yeah.
light panels again?
Yeah.
Hmm. That's interesting. That's interesting that they can always reuse some parts from another building to a new building.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know what
interesting.
the exact scenario was. I just know the lights were going to a new building. I don't
Hmm.
know what they just had me designing the part. I didn't really ask too many questions.
Nice. Okay. Another question. So, what was the most difficult task you had to learn in your position currently? And then maybe how did you learn it?
Um, well, I mean, I just started a couple months ago. I would
Hmm.
say the most difficult thing was just learning you mentioned PDM before, that you use PDM and we use that too. And I would say just going through the whole process of creating a part and getting in
Hmm.
the system and
Right.
making sure everything is, you know, put in there properly so it's not messed up for anyone else. And, when it gets sent off to manufacturing or down to the project manager and everything, like everything's in line, especially with like bill of materials and stuff. So it took me a while at first to get the process of what all you have to do to make sure everything is done properly. And, as I'm going along, I'm getting quicker and
Hmm.
I've realized getting quick at that really helps your productivity, just being able to make parts quickly and stuff.
That's good. That's interesting. I appreciate that comment. I mean, that you're picking up on the efficiency part. So I mean, for our car company, we appreciate anybody coming in trying to be more efficient,
Yep.
especially as they learn the job. So, uh, another question. So let's take situational. Um, if you were working with another team member someplace, this job, past situation, how would you try to work with the team member if you were trying to get an answer from him or her, and that person wasn't so responsive for you?
Hmm. Well, I would always be respectful. You don't want to disrespect anyone, especially on the job. So, uh, I guess if I wasn't able to get an answer while being respectful, I would go to my boss and let them know the situation and take it from there. I wouldn't want to try and push the issue any further.
Understood. Thank you. Appreciate that answer. Okay. Um, Another question. So why are you interested in this car company?
But you guys have a great reputation. I feel like it's a great opportunity for me to learn and grow as an engineer, and I just think it's a great fit for me.
Good, good. Appreciate that. And then right now, what would your long-term career aspirations be?
Um, well, I'm studying, in school for engineering management, so I would hope to one day be in a managing role.
Mhm.
So hopefully, if I can gain experience here, and eventually I'll be able to move up to that position here.
Very good. Oh, I appreciate that answer too. It's clear. Okay. So that's it of my questions, right offhand. Do you have any questions for me now?
Yeah. So, I guess what would a typical day look like for this position?
Yeah, that's a great question. I appreciate that one. So a typical day, like I kind of explained earlier, you're kind of interacting with multiple
Yeah.
people. So maybe with engineer coming into the company, maybe you would be first couple months, you would be st not you would be placed with a buddy within our group. This buddy would basically help you learn the ins and outs of maybe some of our systems, some of people who to communicate with, how to get things up and rolling for yourself to become more self-sufficient.
Hmm.
What we don't want to do is just throw you to the wolves right off the start. We want to make sure that, okay, you have the tools in hand. Maybe you're not really good with the tools, but you have the tools in hand.
Hmm.
Um, and you start learning that way. So like maybe at the beginning of you come in the first couple weeks, you will get assigned some projects, but maybe the projects are kind of on the lighter side. So that way you can start being more engaged with programs and these vehicles, but at the same time, maybe 70 to 90% of the time, you're actually doing some kind of training.
Hmm.
You're learning more about our CAD system. You're learning more about a release system. Um, so after that, you've gained that knowledge. So maybe, 6 weeks time, you start getting more used to things. You're you're attending more of the program meetings. You're interacting with suppliers. Um, Myself or another experienced engineer would probably be in those initial conference calls, meetings, face to face with suppliers, whatever, just so the communication, the knowledge is there, it's shared, that and at the same time the supplier doesn't like realize you're new and kind of take advantage of you somewhat.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like pretty much a every day for you as you're initially in the company. As you
Hmm.
get longer in the company, you'll have more responsibility. You'll have more At least in my group, it's a situation that I see you guys as professionals. I'm not here to babysit you. You're not here to not do your job. So I'm expecting you guys to get your work done and be very transparent of what your information you're giving to me. So,
Yep.
okay.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yep.
Um, could you provide some examples of the project your group is currently working on?
Yeah, I can. So we have a couple of different vehicles. A lot of my programs are basically built in Mexico.
Hmm.
Um, we we have a new smaller SUV that just launched, maybe back in the summertime, if I remember correctly. Then we have another program that's being launched out of Brazil that we're knee deep in right now with a lot of activities there. Let's see. There's some other programs that are kind of coming towards the end of their production life. So those programs maybe not so much involved at this point. So, did I answer your question fully? I can't remember
Yeah,
actually.
no, that's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, are there opportunities for me to, advance my role within the company?
Oh, for sure, for sure. There's um some of my engineers right now, I know we have what we call our career development plan. So the engineers is basically have to do a kind of introspective look at where they're at and where what might interest them doing in the future. I have one engineer doesn't want to move out of the department, the group, likes working what she does. I have two other engineers. One is thinking, oh, maybe I want to go into this business area of the company. I have another engineer who's thinking maybe I want to go over to vehicle program management or even body design.
Hmm.
So, but it's a case by case. And the one thing is, we don't want anybody, it's not a hard, fast rule, but everybody has to stay in their role pretty much for the first 5 years. Because
Hmm.
in that 5 years, you're gaining that experience of learning more of the systems, learning there's a lot of things about the car company that you just won't learn in 1 year,
Yeah.
to move on. After 5 years, you're pretty much okay, you know some of the systems, the people who to interact with, and so forth. So yeah, at that point, maybe it's okay to move on.
Okay.
And then a lot of times, once you get in a role, we do have a system where you're allowed to rotate, maybe. Let's say you just don't want to leave all the way. You want to rotate out for 2 years, experience something, then rotate back in. That's a plan also that could happen.
Okay.
Mhm.
I mean, that's all the questions I have. So
Okay,
thank you.
great. All right. So with that, right now we are going through interview process. We have several other candidates on hand. You're the third one we've interviewed in the past week. We have two more that we need to communicate with. Um, Obviously, you've worked through our HR representative. So that person should be contacting you and we'll probably make a decision in the next week or so. So that HR person will be contacting you to let you know of the status.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
No, I appreciate your time, Jarrett. Thank you. Have a
All
good
right.
day.
Thanks. You too.
Bye now.
All right. Bye.